Cruising is becoming more and more popular. But did you know that there are some really strange and interesting things about international cruises? From hidden costs to unexpected destinations, here are 15 interesting facts about international cruises that you should know before you go on one. Number 15. International waters. If you want to avoid the jurisdiction of any single country, you can head out into international waters. Cruise ships are generally governed by the law of the country whose flag they are flying. But when they enter international waters, they are no longer subject to any country's laws, only the law of the sea. So what does this mean for you? Well, basically it means that you won't be able to get into too much trouble if you do something illegal on board, at least not when the ship is in international waters. However, keep in mind that many cruise lines have their own rules and regulations which will still apply to you even if you're in international waters. And if you break them, you may still get into trouble. For example, you won't be allowed to bring certain drugs or weapons on board even if it is legal to do so where you are. Num 14, no visa. One of the best things about taking an international cruise is that you wouldn't need to get a visa in most cases. This is because cruise ships are considered to be a foreign port and not a foreign country. This means that you won't have to go through the same customs and immigration checks that you would if you were flying into another country. However, keep in mind that there are some exceptions to this rule. For example, if you're traveling from the US to Cuba, you will need to obtain a Cuban visa before boarding the ship. Number 13, the dress code. If you're used to going on cruises, you probably know that there is a dress code. However, you may be surprised to learn that the dress code varies depending on the country that the cruise line is based in. For example, on a British cruise line, you may be required to wear a jacket and tie in the main dining room, while on an American cruise line, you may not. Generally speaking, the dress code is more relaxed on American cruise lines than it is on European or Asian cruise lines. Number 12, the tipping culture. Another thing that can vary from country to country is the tipping culture. In some countries, such as the United States, it is customary to tip cruise ship crew members. However, in other countries, such as the United Kingdom, it is not. Tipping is usually included in the price of your cruise. So it is important to know the tipping customs of the country that your cruise ship is based in so that you do not make a faux pas. Number 11, the language. Of course, the language spoken on a cruise ship will depend on the nationality of the crew and the passengers. However, there are some general rules of thumb that you can follow. If you're on an American cruise ship, then English will likely be the dominant language. However, if you're on a European cruise ship, then there's a good chance that French or German will be the main language spoken. If you're on an Asian cruise ship, then there's a good chance that Mandarin or another Asian language will be the main language spoken. Number 10, different currencies. On an international cruise, you will be dealing with different currencies. The good news is that most cruise ships will have a currency exchange desk where you can exchange your money. However, the exchange rate may not be very favorable. So it is worth checking the exchange rate before you board the ship. Many cruise ships also accept credit cards as payment for goods and services on board. However, they may charge a service fee for using a credit card. So it is important to ask about this before you board the ship. Number 9, packing restrictions. You may be surprised to learn that there are some items that you cannot pack in your luggage when going on an international cruise. These items are considered to be contraband, and they include things like drugs, weapons, and alcohol. If you try to pack these items in your luggage, it is likely that they will be confiscated and you may even be fined. It is important to check the list of prohibited items before you pack for your cruise so that you don't have any surprises. Number 8, shore excursions. One of the best things about going on an international cruise is getting to visit different countries and cultures. However, it is important to be aware of the different scams that target cruise passengers. One common scam is fake tour guides. There have been many cases of fake tour guides approaching cruise passengers and offering to lead them on a tour of the city. However, these tours are often dangerous and the guides are only interested in stealing from the tourists. To avoid this scam, stick with the cruise line organized shore excursions. Number 7, bar etiquette. If you're used to going on cruises, you probably know that it is customary to pay for drinks with a credit card. However, on some international cruises, you may have to pay for your drinks with cash. This is especially true in countries where credit cards are not widely accepted. So it is important to bring some local currency with you on your cruise so that you can buy drinks. Number 6, time zones. Another thing to keep in mind when going on an international cruise is the different time zones. When the cruise ship crosses into a new time zone, the clock on the ship will change to reflect the new time zone. This can be confusing at first, but it is important to remember to reset your watch or phone every time the ship enters a new time zone. Otherwise, you could miss important events or activities. Number 5, seasickness. If you're prone to seasickness, you should definitely consider bringing some medication with you on your cruise. Even if you have never experienced seasickness before, it is a good idea to be prepared just in case. There are many different types of seasickness medication available, so talk to your doctor about which one is right for you. Number 4, sun protection. The sun is much stronger in some countries than it is in others. If you are going on a cruise to a sunny destination, be sure to pack plenty of sunscreen with you. You may also want to consider bringing along a hat and sunglasses to protect yourself from the sun. Number 3, insect repellent. Depending on your cruise itinerary, you may want to pack insect repellent. This is especially true if you're going on a cruise to a tropical destination. Insect repellent can help to keep mosquitoes and other insects away, which can make your cruise much more enjoyable. Number 2, local customs. Be sure to research the local customs of the countries that you will be visiting on your cruise. This will help you to avoid any cultural faux pas. For example, in some countries, it is considered rude to point with your finger. So be sure to research what is considered to be rude and what is not before you go on your cruise. Number 1, check your passport. Before you go on any international cruise, be sure to check your passport to make sure that it is up to date. Your passport should be valid for at least 6 months from the date that you're planning to travel. In addition, some countries require that your passport has at least 2 blank pages. So be sure to check this before you board the ship.